Hi, my name is Nicole. This video explains how you can eliminate ever using offshore companies for remote and lower cost staff and replace them with a shortcut to hiring people like me in the Dominican Republic to be your remote and lower cost staff. We eliminate offshore call centers, outsourcing companies, and virtual assistant firms and replace them with your hiring people like me, same as long-term loyal career employees, and do this through our American and Dominican human resources company. On average, a college-educated person like me who is bilingual English and Spanish could work for you remote from the Dominican Republic at half the cost of your USA location. Zoom or Teams with video call and screen sharing can make communication almost the same as if I am there in your office sitting next to you. You and I can use screen sharing so I can observe your computer screen and learn your work instructions and training. I can even record your training and instructions on video so I can review several times to 100% understand and get it right. I am college-educated, bilingual English and Spanish. I also have good job and computer skills. English and Spanish is the best language match with the American population. I explain this because I am clearly not an unskilled minimum wage worker. Yet, my cost to work for you remote from the DR could be comparable to your cost to employ a local minimum wage worker. We have people working remote from the DR who have master's degrees for a comparable cost to a USA-based McDonald's burger cook. That helps put things into perspective. If I were hired as an employee in Boston, New York, or Miami, my base salary could be $50,000 or more. When taxes and other employee overhead costs are combined with salary, my total cost could easily be $65,000 or more. An additional cost with employees in the USA is the human resources and legal costs that are required just to legally hire people. Employees in USA often file lawsuits against their current and previous employers. All of these HR and legal costs are eliminated with our business model. A person like me can work for you remote from the DR at the lower cost, but not be able to file lawsuits like an American employee can. If you hired me to work remote from the Dominican Republic, where we used Zoom or Teams to communicate, same as if I am in your USA office, my total cost could be $30,000. This would include all overhead, payroll, taxes, and everything. Imagine my cost to work for you in the USA being $65,000 or more compared to working for you remote from the DR through our HR company at $30,000. You may struggle with the cost of hiring the better quality A-rated people such as personal assistant, accounting and payroll, customer sales and technical support, and others. Many company leaders cannot afford the best people, so they either hire lesser quality C and D people or do not hire anyone and become workaholics doing too much themselves. It is very possible to hire A-rated people for these types of jobs working remote from the Dominican Republic at half the cost of your USA location, and do this through our HR company. This means you may be able to afford getting the help you need with people like me in the DR, or you can afford 2 people like me for the cost of 1 employee at your USA location. It is important to learn the truth about offshore companies, as this explains why we created a very different business model. When American companies use offshore services, the reality is the American companies are renting employees from the offshore services. An example is renting a virtual assistant who is employed by the virtual assistant firm and contracted out to the American company. I will explain more about this in the detailed presentation, but for now the important point is, with the rental worker business model, the American company does not think of the offshore workers as valued employees. They think of them as extra and expendable staff. The offshore workers know this and think of the American company as just a gig for as long as the work lasts. Neither side care about each other in this call center or virtual assistant firm scenario. Although the cost is low, most American companies that try these offshore companies cancel when realizing the failures outweigh the benefits of lower cost. This fact undermines the reason to use offshore virtual assistant firms or call centers in the first place. Our business model is a very different and smarter way for you to add remote and lower-cost people like me to your company business strategy. Example, imagine hiring me as your long-term career employee in the USA and do this through an HR company like ADP. You're not renting me, you're hiring me through the HR company. Next, imagine me and the HR company are located in the Dominican Republic, where my cost to hire can be 50% or more less than at your USA location. I fit in as your long-term career employee, while on paper I am a contractor payrolled through the HR company. For your information, the American IRS rules that govern long-term use of contractors only apply to American citizens, not to people like me who can work remote for you through our HR company in the Dominican Republic. This means I can work the next 15 years for you without any USA employee overhead costs or legal risks. Instead of renting people from an offshore company where the duration could be 6 months to maybe 1.5 years, I can work my entire career for you while being payrolled through our HR company. Imagine me working for you the next 10 years and growing a career within your company where you have control and my cost is 50% less than working at your USA location. I realize we are living in a world of bullet points and short attention spans. However, if you're interested in learning all the facts and details, I encourage you to continue viewing the remainder of this video. I'll explain the truths about offshore virtual assistant firms, call centers, and outsourcing companies, and then explain the details of our plan that sets you up to have people like me working for you remote from the DR at a lower cost. You can also stop the video, mark the place, and come back to finish viewing later. I will continue with the detailed explanation. Let's start off with the truth about offshore call centers, outsourcing companies, and virtual assistant firms. It is important to cover these facts in order to understand why we created our business model the way we did. Offshore companies hire people as their employees to control and rent to American companies as remote and lower-cost staff. If you give an offshore worker a raise or pay a bonus, the offshore company owners and managers take 50% to line their pockets, but do not openly disclose this. Offshore companies will claim to provide you a dedicated worker, yet in reality assign the same person to 2 American companies and hope nobody notices. Yeah, that happens all the time. Offshore companies treat people terribly and pay poverty wages while the company leaders make all the money. The offshore workers are not happy. These jobs are very unstable and turnover of the people is high. The number one problem with the offshore call center or virtual assistant concept is the offshore workers know the American company thinks of them as extra and expendable. You cannot get loyalty, quality, good work, and longevity from people in this situation. The only way to get loyalty, quality, and longevity is when people think they are on your team and have the chance to grow a long-term career with your company. This is why we replaced the rent-a-worker concept with hiring people like me as your long-term career employees and do this through our American and Dominican human resources company. You get the quality, loyalty, and longevity of an American employee, yet I work remote through the HR company for half the cost and without any employee overhead or legal risks. Our story will connect the dots and make this very simple and clear to understand. In the past, our company's CEO built and sold 2 companies in the USA. He tried offshore services for remote and lower-cost office staff. Sadly, he canceled for all the negative reasons I previously shared. His solution was to research countries closer to the USA to form a human resources company to recruit, hire, and payroll people like me to work as his nearshore lower-cost staff. His name is Dave Fogg. You can find him on LinkedIn. Dave won in a country close to the USA and where people speak English and Spanish, as this is the best match to the American population. Dave selected the Dominican Republic as the best and closest to USA country to create a nearshore lower-cost staff operation. The DR has better electricity, internet, and education than any other countries in the region. And there are more people in DR who speak good English than other countries in Caribbean or Central and South America. Another important fact is many people here in the DR are American Dominicans. The cost to hire excellent people in the DR is approximately half the cost of comparable people in the mainland USA. He formed an HR company in the DR and over many years learned how to find, hire, and train English and Spanish-speaking college-educated people like me as remote and lower-cost employees. Dave's personal assistant, accountants, customer, and sales support staff all worked remote from the DR for half the cost of the mainland USA. David showed us a lot of love and created career opportunities which resulted in people here in the DR being intensely loyal, working hard, and wanting to build a career with his company. Treating people like me like I am a valued employee where there is potential to grow a career is why I would be loyal, give my 100%, and do a good job. Think of the common sense. If you think of me as rented, extra, and expendable, I am not going to care so much about the job. If you treat me as if I am on your team, where I have the opportunity to grow a career working for you, this is why I would be motivated, loyal, and work hard to prove myself. And if my cost can be half that of your USA location and it is possible that I work for you long term, you can see how this makes very good sense. Years later, David sold the American businesses but kept the Dominican Human Resources Company. Today, you can use our American and Dominican HR company as a shortcut to hire people like me and create your own nearshore, lower-cost staff operation, be it one person or grow a team. It's simple. We already have the American and Dominican HR Corporation, international banking, network with English-speaking people, and all the other pieces of the puzzle that you can use as a shortcut that enables you to have people like me work for you from the DR at the lower cost. We would quote a minimum and maximum pay range that ensures it is possible to hire good people in the DR to work for you. On each resume, we show the specific pay rate for the candidate so you can know what a person will cost before interviewing. On average, the total cost for a person like me, including all taxes, computer, internet, and everything, can be 50% less than an employee at your USA location. Assume you interview 3 people and select me. On paper, I am hired by our Dominican HR company. This is similar to your hiring me in USA through an HR company like ADP, except me and the HR company are in the DR, where my cost is much lower. Our Dominican HR company fronts the money to cover my payroll every month to work for you. Your company reimburses our American corporation the next month. You do not pay any payroll or FICK taxes, no cost for health or other insurance, no workers' compensation or state unemployment tax, and no normal USA employee overhead. Although a person like me can work for you same as a career employee, there is no legal connection between your company and me in the DR. This means I cannot file lawsuits or cause any legal issues as what happens with current and previous employees in the USA. This visual can help you understand how the dots connect from your company to me in the Dominican Republic. Your USA corporation, our USA corporation, our Dominican HR company, me in the DR working for you. Imagine building a team of people like me in the DR where you can easily fly to come visit and spend time with us. We are only 2 hours from Miami. Visiting your team is another important fact that is not possible with offshore companies, but is very realistic with us. Using me for this example, our philosophy is that you should benefit from my lower cost while also partnering with our HR company to lift me up and give me a better job and career than I can otherwise find in my country. This win-win way of thinking is very different from renting people from offshore companies, and is also why I would want to give you my 100%, do a good job, be loyal, and hope it becomes possible to work for you long term. We both win. Same as if I am your career employee, you have control over my annual evaluation, any raises, bonuses, paid time off, etc. I should not be compared to a person from an offshore call center or virtual assistant firm. That is a totally different scenario. The correct perception is how much might I cost if my salary is combined with all employee overhead and I worked at your USA location. Then compare your American cost to my cost to work for you remote from the DR to a HR company. An example is my salary in Miami or New York might be $50,000 or more, and when all USA employee overhead is added, the total cost could be $65,000 and more. A person like me in DR could work for you at $30,000 total cost with all overhead included. This is the proper cost comparison. Now that you have viewed all this information, if you're interested in the potential to have people like me work for you remote from the DR at a lower cost, the next step is a call. We would be happy to answer your questions. Thanks for viewing our video. I wish you a nice day and bye for now.